We're going to learn the halachas of Mayim Acharonim. Some people are makel, especially women don't do Mayim Acharonim. So we see why yes, why not. So it's brought in the tour, Kuf Pei Aleph. V'achakach yitel yodov. After you finish to eat, you have to wash your hands. Domar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. L'omri le b'masnisa tona is v'skadishtem elomayim rishonim. That's the Gemara in Brochas. V'skadishtem, it says it should be holy. That talks about mayim rishonim. We wash the hands before eating bread. V'isam kedoshim elomayim acharonim. And it says v'isam kedoshim. That's mayim acharonim. So that's one place where we're learning. Where you have to do why to do mayim acharonim. It says v'isam kedoshim. Yeah. Then there's another Gemara in the Maseches Chulin. It says over there, Omar Rav Idi bar Avin, Omar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashiyan, Mayim Rishonim mitzvah. Mayim Rishonim before we eat bread, it's mitzvah. V'acharonim choiva. Acharonim, it's more than mitzvah. It's a choiva. And it says over there, why Acharonim is more choiva? Mishes Mishum Melach Sedoim Mishamasama Esanayim, because they used to have Melach Sedoimis that was a very sharp salt that if you could touch your hand, if they salty your eyes, it could blind the person. Since there's a Indian, after everything you eat, you should eat the end, after the food, you should eat some salt. That's recommended by Chazal. Because of that, maybe in that salt you have also the some melech from melech sedoimis. That's why I say you should wash your hands before Birkas Hamazon, after you ate, after you use the salt. Nothing should be left. It's safe. According to that safety measure, you should not be hurt. Looks like a very physical reason. It should not be hurt, and that's why the Tosfos bring that the B'Yamein, or the Tosfos says people are not careful with that because we don't have Melech Sedoimis. We don't have that. That's again. So the people that are Mekel, based on this Tosfos, because we don't have among us the Melech Sedoimis. However, first of all, even with that Tosfos, it's nicht as a portion the heter, as we're going to see. The Tosfos himself, the Tosfos talks about it in few places in Maseches Brochas, Maseches Chulin, and it said the same thing. The Tosfos says over there, Umiu anoshim unogim argilim little edem achara suuda. People that are very Easternist, they're very delicate. Thank you. They anyway wash the hands because they want to have clean hands. They cannot tolerate when the hands are dirty. He says, Vadai. For sure, he says, it's not like recommended ma'akevas. If you usually careful to have clean hands, you wash your hands. Today, many people do this, use often sanitizers. So all anoshim mu'nogim. The Meili says to them, it's to them it says you have to wash your hands. It's ma'akev. The vorach birkas hamazon. V'tzrichim lito ledem kodem birkas hamazon. Before, so again, even the Tosfos people use as a kula. Why they're not careful with Mayim Acharonim because we don't have melach stoimis. Even then, he goes back. He says, if you're careful, you're delicate, and you wanna. You always care your hands should be clean. Like I said, especially today, many people use sanitizer. They're very careful. The hands should be clean, or free of germ, or whatever. So you comes back, you have to do it. Okay, that's the Tosfos. Even the Tosfos, the Matir, it says the Chum. Then there is another few reasons I'm going to bring why you have to be machmer with them. The Shesha brings Rabbeinu Yoina. He says like this, and he brings him the Rambam, and that's why some people say Rambam was a big doctor. He knew a lot of in medicine, and even the Rambam writes like this: even though we don't have today among our salts melech sedoimis, they're coming the derivative from water, from oceans, or wherever they come from. It says yesh lochosh mipnei melech acher. We have to be careful because other salts, shetivoy kemelach sedoimis. There's other salts out there that they have that nature of Melech Sodomis. They could have also a bad effect on your eyes. They could blind you. And Bailey says, even we don't have Melech Sodomis, according to the Rambam, that's what Rabbeinu Yoina brings, you have to wash your hands Mayim Acharonim. So it comes out again, the heter not to do it as was a Tosfos because of Melech Sodomis. Even the Tosfos says you have to do it Lamaisa because we very unogim, delicate, we wash our hands. You have to. And Rabbeinu Yerucham brings in the Rambam, you have to anyway, even if there's no Melech Sodomis because other salts could hurt you too. Then you bring Rabbeinu Yerucham, Kosav, B'Shem Rif, She'aval Pi, She'elanu Melech, even though we don't have any salt that could hurt you, Choiva little yoda mishum demayim achroinim horgues hanefesh. He brings a whole another reason. The Gemara in Yuma, the Gemara brings the story. I'll tell you briefly the story over there. That the few Chachamim stayed in an inn. Rav Meir didn't recommend them to stay and send over there to begin with. They didn't like the innkeeper. They went there anyway, but everybody deposited before Shabbos their wallet by this innkeeper. Rab Meir didn't trust him, he did not deposit it. After Shabbos, they found out that the owner, the innkeeper, stole their wallets. Now they're coming to Rab Meir, you were right. Why didn't you tell a stronger way? Rab Meir said, I told you what I told you before, but you wanted to go your way, you trusted him. Anyway, now they need Rab Meir to rescue them. So Rab Meir said, I'll help you now, even though you didn't listen to me, I'll help you. So they went to see where this guy is working, and when they went in, they saw on his mustache, they saw what he ate this morning because he didn't do Mayim Acharonim, he didn't clean himself. And they came to his wife. They says, your husband told us to return the wallet, and the proof that he told us that because he told you the simon he ate this morning for breakfast lentils. How did they know? Because there was a leftover in his mustache. So she gave it to them. Then when he came home, he says, where's the wallet? She says, what do you mean? You told me to give it back to them. He killed her. So Rabbeinu Yerucham said, from that story, there's another reason why I have to do Mayim Acharonim, he says. Because you see that because of not doing Mayim Acharonim, a similar story brought in Medrash Rabbah, because of not doing Mayim Acharonim, it could cause, God forbid, to get killed. So it's such an important thing, there's no Mayim Acharonim. Okay, so again, we see Rambam, Rabbeinu Yoina, Rabbeinu Yerucham, said that you have to do it, even according to the Tosfos, he says why you have to Lamaisa have to do it. Now there is really a stronger raya from the Gra, the Vilna Gaon. He says why you do have to do Mayim Acharonim. Very, very strong raya. The Gemara talks about why Mayim Acharonim the lashon is choiva. Mayim Rishonim mitzvah, Mayim Acharonim choiva. The Gemara says nafkamine if you're in a war. That's the Mishnah in Eruvin. In a war, you have some leniencies for the soldiers. Right now, we're in a war, so I'm sure that a lot of them, the frum guys, learn this halachas. So one of the leniencies, you could skip Mayim Rishonim. You could skip before washing the hands, before the bread. Because you're in a war, it's very tense, you have to be alert. Maybe you don't have the water next to you. You could skip Mayim Rishonim before bread. Mayim Acharonim choiva, even in the war zone, you have to do, because since it's a sakana, you have to do Mayim Acharonim. Now, so the Vilna Gaon saying like this. He says that's why you have to do it because Melech Sodomis. Yeah, that's because of Melech Sodomis. So he says like this. He says, "V'amar Abaye, Sham the Mayim Acharonim lo nifturu b'machane when in the war zone mishum dechoiva mishum Melech Sodomis." The Mefarish Rab Chanina bar Ashi. Shom. V'ile katama de Melech Sodomis as peturim b'masnisin mimayim achroinim k'mo mimayim rishoinim. He says, count from that Mishnah will learn, if there would be no reason of Mayim Melech Sodomis, there would be potur for Mayim achroinim, the soldiers in the war, as the potur for Mayim rishoinim. But he says, aval below machane, but if there's no war, it's chayovim. Says the whole what you learn from that Gemara, if there's no Melech Sodomis, you potter. It's only you potter in a war, but if there's no war, you have in both of them equally again. So according to the Gra, he says, meaning he brings a ride. That's how he holds Lamaisa la Halacha. You have to now. There's a whole big shura of poskim a Marshal, Ashla HaKodesh, the Mishnah Berurah, the Gra I just mentioned, the Alter Rebbe, the Aruch HaShulchan, everybody says we should still do Mayim Acharonim. Why people are so not careful, I don't know. Then the Aruch HaShulchan brings over here, there's a Sefer Tshuvas Min HaShamayim. That person was a brother-in-law of the Mordechai, as a commentary on one of the Rishonim on the Gemara, and it brings over there this Tshuvas Min HaShamayim. It brings over there. He used to have questions he have to ask when he went to sleep, and they got answers in the morning. He got a lot of answers. It says over there, "Shekol hamekel b'mayim achronim." Anybody is not careful with mayim achronim, mekelim lo mezanosav min hashamayim. They're not careful with this parnosa too. They're not helping him with parnosa. He had this girsa over there. There's another girsa over there. Mekinim lo chayav. They're not careful for his life. The girsa of the Aruch HaShulchan was mekinim lo lechon yesh lizorba me'oid. He says v'chen nagim kol yireh Hashem. He says everybody. Then he adds one thing that's, again, I told you, the women today, even people that care about women, we don't see them doing it. He says, "V'yesh l'chol balabayis lahazil livnei boiso shisharu." Mashma, he says, women also have to do it. I don't know why they're not doing it. L'maisa, men and women, because what's the difference? Women don't have sakana. They all have, for the reason of Mayim Acharonim, it applies to the women too. It applies to everybody. Now, there's one more very important thing over here. I remember I said this to many people. They were not careful, and I told them the most convincing thing was the following from the Kaf HaChaim. Kaf HaChaim brings from the Zohar a whole new outlook on Mayim Acharonim. It's not only, you could argue Melech Sedoim is clean hands, said the bracha, clean hands. Without all this, he says like this: the Soid Mayim Acharonim, the Bosar Dochil Barnash is Anak. After a person ate and enjoyed his meal, Itzich Lemeav Chulke the Tamtis Lausitra. You have to also give a little bit leftovers, Shirayim, to the other side. And he says, Uman, Iyum, Mayim Acharonim, Zu Hamodidon. Our dirty hands will clean, that goes to them, to the other side. And you have to give the Itzich Lemeav Lausitra Chulke, the Itzich Lemeav. You have to give it them because, as you're going to say later on, if you don't give it them, they might revenge from you. Give them something. The dogs are hungry. You want to give them bones. If you don't give them the bones, say, no, I don't care. I don't like dogs. I don't give them. They might bite you. They might come after you. So that's the chelek, and that's why he says the pshat. The Gemara has Mayim Acharonim choiva. The way we learned in the Gemara and Eruvin choiva, meaning in the war when you don't do Mayim Rishonim but still do Mayim Acharonim, they says that goes to the choiva, meaning to those the other side which is from the level of choiv. They're not schus. They're not merit. They're not mitzvahs. The other side, the sitra achra choiva, you have to give it to that side. You have to give it to them. He says, and then he says that it's interesting. And we see from here, we see every halacha you see in Gemara. There is also a deeper meaning in Zohar. In the halacha Mayim Acharonim, there's a machloikis if you have to do bracha on it. Mayim Rishonim, we all do bracha until Asidoim. Mayim Acharonim, there is a machloikis between the Rishonim. La halacha, we paskin, we don't do bracha. So the Zohar says, why don't we do bracha? He says, according to the Nigla, because it's mitzat sakona, anything sakona, you don't do bracha. Anything to safety, there's no bracha. It's for your safety. It's not for the mitzvah. It's for safety. But he says another reason. Mayim Acharonim choiva. He says v'leislu bracha. He says on that side, there's no blessing over there. The sitra achra. We'll give it to them because we have to. Choiva, that's some tzad choiva. So it says that's why we do Mayim Acharonim. That's their portion, and you have to give it to them. Then one more nakuda, like I said to me, when I said this to a few people, that was the most convincing of them. That's all from Kaf HaChaim I'm bringing. It says Easter v'yalkut reuveni. It says like this. Seder Vayikra, Pashas Vayikra. The Iyov lo'osok Seder Mayim Acharonim v'agormela Yisurim. We know one of the most Baal Yisurim in our history, Iyov. He had the most Yisurim. The reason, there's few reasons brought in Alpi, different, especially B'Sifra Kabbalah brought why he suffered so much. He was a tzaddik. It says in the Pasuk, he was a tzaddik. One of the reasons he brings over here, it's that from the Yalkut to Ruveni, because he didn't do Mayim Acharonim. The side of Mayim Acharonim, you have to give it to the Sitra Achra to say, keep them quiet. Here is your bone, leave me alone, go. when you don't give it to them, they go after you, and that's what they did to Eve. That's why Eve, according to this, Yaakov Rebbeinu had all the tzoras. We see from here how important is Mayim Acharonim for many reasons, Al Nigel, Al Kabbalah, and also the women should do too. I just want to add one thing. In our days, we have so many segulas, so many things, and the people do baba maises, lohevel or nivro, especially with the challah. It's good. Challah is very important, but they come up with such a things. Doesn't say anywhere. They make up all kind of baba maises. You have one mitzvah. You don't have to, there's no baba maises. Mayim Acharonim. So why are you going standing new segulas, new inyanim, new projects? Just do what says the Shulchan Aruch and Gemara. Mayim Acharonim for men and for women. For some reason, like I said, not every man does it. Some communities don't do it all, and even the community they do it, the women don't do it. L'chayra, there's no. I didn't see any makor why women or men should not do Mayim Acharonim. So
it's not just Shabbos. Every meal.
Could you shut it off? Huh?
Every meal.
Every meal.
Every snack, even.
No. The chiyuv is by the meal. But according to this, if you feel, for example, what the Toys was brought, if you feel Easternist, I mean, I always